In Southeast Asia's largest economy, roughly 80% of the population remains underbanked or unbanked, with many lack access to some form of financial services. Bridging the gap is one of the leading digital payment platforms in Indonesia, Dana. CEO and founder Vincent Iswaratioso shares with us his journey and efforts in transforming Indonesia to become a cashless society.
One of the leading digital payment platforms in the country, Dana Indonesia plays a pivotal role in steering Indonesia into a cashless society. With more than 170 million users, the company aims to accelerate financial literacy and inclusion, reshaping the fintech landscape one transaction at a time.
First thing, right? I mean, what is it that digital payment better compared to cash? Is the majority of populations, if you take a look into everyone's before digital, the behavior is that at the end of the month or the end of the week, they have to go to ATM machines or bank branches or bank agents to draw cash. And usually that will either require some logistic, and usually or sometimes for a lot of people you will get charged. After that, you also might need it for many of the online services that's now available in Indonesia, right? There's a marketplace, there are e-commerce that you have a really good pricing points that's better and not accessible for them before. But because of this expansion of this online services and online commerce, that they have access, they can use also the digital payment to pay for all of them. So they get also a better product selections and a better pricing points. And then after that, expand as well. So now you can use it for all offline transactions. Since you already have your digital payment for paying for your bills, airtime for online, and you can use it for offline, and it becomes just a convenient tools for you that provide end-to-end.
Like many digital payment companies in Malaysia, Dana is taking advantage of Indonesia's high mobile penetration to introduce e-wallets.
Well, I mean, when you talk about access to banks, or I would say access to financial services, Indonesia, it's still very much underpenetrated. But then if you think about the other things, right? What is it that it's highly that have high penetration in Indonesia? It's mobile smartphone penetration. So Indonesia have a actually one of the largest ratio of mobile smartphone penetration. And you also can take a look how active Indonesia in social media. I think Indonesia, I'm sure if you take a look into all the data statistic, we're one of the most active in any social media. And the penetrations of that in Indonesia is pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, on the monthly basis, if you talk about YouTube, if you talk about WhatsApp, they have about more than 150 million monthly active users. And as you compare that to the penetrations to the banks, that's so much lower. So that means there are potential, right? There are potential of people who already have access to this digital ecosystem, but not yet have access to financial services. So that's where we come in. That's why we believe that mobile payment, mobile financial services should be accessible to everyone. And that's why what we're building is really a service as a product that can be accessible to everyone that's already used to this digital ecosystem.
Indonesia is home to 10 unicorn startups, with Dana joining the list in 2022 after reaching a valuation of $1.3 billion. Vincent shares what makes Indonesia favorable for building unicorn companies, especially in the fintech space.
I think there's also in regards to the gap, right? In Malaysia, the majority of the population is already banked, right? The majority of our populations already, I would say, have access to financial. Well, in Indonesia, as we talked earlier, it's like the majority of people are still unbanked. The majority of people who don't have a good formal financial services. So that's why the opportunity is there. So when you talk about fintech, that's why it's still booming, exciting because of the gap. There's so many opportunities, and we are jumping over certain technology. So for example, like in Malaysia, there are very card-centric populations, right, where that card penetration has already entrenched in the market for so long. But it's also pretty user-friendly, so that's why a lot of people still kind of stuck with it. But we jumped it to mobile, to completely to do digital, because we believe that's a better solution for the market, as I mentioned to you as well. Also because the penetration of the smartphone in Indonesia is pretty high. So that's why I see where in Indonesia a lot tech or companies have gone into the billion or more valuations, because market size, opportunity, and also the need of the market.
While COVID-19 has accelerated digital transformation in Indonesia, many are still left behind or are wary of getting on board. Vincent stressed the need to build trust and ensure the security of digital systems.
Definitely there are challenges, and that's where we need to not just ourselves, we need to work with the industry, we need to with the other players, because security, it's important to build trust. And security is not a one entity problem, because we live in a network, we live in an ecosystem, right? So we are only as strong as the weakest link in the network. So then we have to work with everyone to solve this together. It's not just one company, and we do that. And then for example, like Dana, do a lot of what we call risk sharing with the others. We are also involved heavily with a cyber security initiative from Bank Indonesia, from Kadin as well. That's the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. And we also trying to educate the market together. And for example, right, I'm sure that's also happening in Malaysia as well. Phishing, scamming, that's happened. That is also an international problem right now. And then we need to help the customers to understand. You know, please don't share your PIN, OTP, email, or even don't share your personal identity photo online, right? Because that can be widely used by the scammers and the phishers. So we work closely with the industries and then educate them. And then in terms of our technology itself, we are always, you know, trying to go ahead, much ahead compared to the industries, because we want to make sure that we can help our customers to feel secure.
Right. Dana has big plans, and starts with improving the financial literacy and financial health of its users and eventually all of Indonesia.
We really want to push more and more of the access to financial services, access and education, right? Because as we mentioned to you, there are still a lot of people that don't have this good access, and we want to make sure that people have a good education just in regard to that. Then they can plan ahead, they can eventually have much better financial health. So that's where we are trying to grow ourselves into, making sure that every user of Dana can have a mindset of being financially healthy.